Hello, everybody. I am so glad you are here. It is Thursday, September 17th, and we are back for some more running with scissors. I have to tell you, this month has been exhausting. I don't know about you guys, but these weeks have just been getting me left and right with all sorts of wacky things. So I'm happy to be here, although I'm just a little bit on the tired side today. But hey, we're going to do some fun, crafty stuff and have lots of fun and crafty chat. So I am so glad that you guys are here with me. Hello, Belinda, and hello, Becca. So glad you guys are out there. If you are out there and watching and you've got a keyboard handy, say hello. Tell me where you're from. Glad to have you here. And while you're at it, go ahead and take a look at the description below. There is all of today's supplies are listed there. They are affiliate links. So if you click on them and make a purchase, I may receive a small commission at no additional cost to you. I know you've probably heard that a million times from me, but it's required. So I have to share that with you every time. So you can just kind of follow along in your head, you know, like when you're on the airplane and the flight attendant is doing all their little spiel. That's my little spiel. I got to tell you guys, right? So also click on that little like button if you like today's video. That will help me pop up in your suggestions a little bit more often and help other people find me too. And then also click on that share button and share me out while we're live here so other folks can join in with us, right? So yeah, absolutely, Belinda. I'm glad you're here with me. Out in Texas, boy, I lived there for a little while. And I'm glad to not live there anymore, but let's see, you're glad that the craftiness is helping us get through these days, and I agree. So it's one thing that I really look forward to, so I'm really glad to be here with you guys. All right, so I think part of my problem with this month is that I picked this stamp set, right? This My Favorite Things stamp set, because it is just so darn cute. But if you've been with me for any length of time now, you know that this really isn't in my wheelhouse. So coming up with ideas for this stamp set has been more difficult than I anticipated. It's really stretching my creativity. I have lots of great ideas, but it just takes me longer to create them. So that's been a little bit exhausting too. So today we have one project, and it is just a simple watercoloring project. I didn't add anything interactive to this one, so it's going to show you a different way to use this. I think what you're really going to be most interested in though is the background, because it is amazing. And it's all, well, it's not, it looks like it's done freehand, but it's not all done in freehand. And I'm going to show you how I used how I used a stencil to make this thing look amazing. So it is a no-line watercoloring technique. So we'll dive into that a little bit. So chat me up today, guys. Ask tons of questions. Tell me what you'd like to see next. Give me some ideas. Actually, I think I do know what stamp set I'm going to use next, and I did put it down in the description. So let me pull it out. We're headed back to safe territory. We're going to Altenew. Yay! Okay, so we are going to use the Wild and Free stamp and die set, and possibly the masks. I don't have the masks yet, but I am going to order them. So we are going back into a safe haven for me, right? So Altenew and flowers, but we're going to do some really fun techniques with them. I think we're going to pull out the gel plate and have some fun with doing some neat techniques with that as well. So it's not just going to be boring flower. It's going to be flower with fun techniques. And it's a really great stamp set because it's a line style, so you can do all sorts of different things with it. And in case you didn't know, Lydia Evans, who works with Altenew, she designed this stamp set. So I thought that that was really super cool to know that she did all the line art for that. So the link is below. And oh, I should have mentioned too that on the 21st, the 20th and the 21st, I think it is. So that would be Sunday and Monday. Altenew is running a special on all of my favorite things from Altenew, and you will have a discount code, and I will pop that all down in the description below. I totally forgot to do that, but they are doing this for all of the designers this month. We all have 2 days that they're featuring our products and giving you an 8% off coupon code for your order. And now don't forget that when you shop with Altenew, if you go over $99 on your order and you're in the US, you get free shipping automatically. So not only would you get free shipping if you placed a nice order, you would also be able to add, of course, that 8% off and get a little discount too. So I will pop that information down below so that you know about it. And I'll be posting it on social media and stuff like that too, so you won't miss out. Okay, so I'm going to pop down below. And I see all sorts of people have joined. So if you haven't said hello yet, say hello. And we're going to get started here. So this is the card for today. And let me hold that up just a little closer for you. And it's basically all one layer. I did do the kitty cat in a separate layer. And then I've got this little sentiment strip, but I thought maybe I would try it without the sentiment strip for the for our project today. To be honest with you, I stamped this and I ended up stamping it again and it was off a little bit, so I got a terrible shadow. So I just used a sentiment strip to cover it up, but I didn't intend for there to be a sentiment strip there. So we're going to try it without it today. But this is our fun little project and we will do lots of watercoloring with that. So I am going to use my Altenew 32 pan. So I need to get some of these colors activated. This is just water that I keep in a little dropper. So I'm going to pop water in a whole bunch of these colors. And of course, you know, I don't have the color order for these. I like totally neglected to do a swatch for this. I know, can you believe it? I always do swatches and I didn't do a swatch for this. So we're just going to kind of muddle along with it. Actually, I could grab, I have another box of these. I could grab it because the names of them are on the box. All right. So I'm just kind of getting some of these colors started that I know that I'm going to use. And that's going to let them soften up a little bit. These tend to be a little bit on the harder side compared to the artist pan set, so I like to get them going a little quicker, or ahead of time, I should say. Okay, so no line watercolor. Woo. Oh, I'm so sorry, Becca. Your internet has been a real problem for you lately. I see that everything is doing okay over here. I don't seem to be buffering, so sorry. Yeah, internet. Well, that, and you know, it's the time of day that like everybody's trying to jump onto the internet, so perhaps it will slow down and it'll stop buffering for you. Okay, so for my color, I'm going to scooch us in a little closer here. There we go. Okay, so for my no line watercoloring, right now I am using this fog color from scrapbook.com because it's a hybrid ink pad. These are the only hybrids that I have right now, so I'm using it. It's a nice color because it really is super, super light. And I don't know that you will even see it once I have it on there. Yeah, see, you can't even see her. She's on there, I promise. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to actually set this aside and we're going to work on the background so that it can set aside and dry while we finish coloring her. But I have this marker from Kelly Creates. I was just looking for something that was not black. So this happens to be a gray color. And it's just her small brush for like brush lettering. And I wanted to outline the eyes and the nose, so I didn't lose them when I did my watercoloring. So I can still see them right now. And I'm just going in and grabbing those little eyelashes. And then her little nose. All right, so for the moment now she looks kind of like a ghost kitty, right? And then I'm going to grab her whiskers too. And it's so faint I can't even see where the third one is. There we go. All right, so we will come back to her in a minute. And we're going to move to the background. So because this is totally freehand, I did cut an extra piece of cardstock just in case. Hopefully I don't need it today. So this is just regular 140-pound watercolor cardstock. And I've got a little palette here, and I've got my colors, and we're going to be using some fairly small brushes today. All right, but I wanted to show you this really, really cool technique. I'm trying to get this arranged so you can kind of see as much as you can. I actually think I am going to back up just a hair. Come on, there we go. Okay, so that might be just a little bit better. Okay, so this is a really cool thing. We've been using this cloud stencil. We're going to use it to do this watercolor background. Okay, I'm not going to do it with the hills, but I am going to use it for the clouds themselves. So I'm using, this is a size 3 brush. All right, I've got some super small ones here that we're going to use later, but I've got a size 3 brush, and I'm going to mix a couple of these blues together. So this lighter blue here and a little bit of the darker blue to get me kind of a medium-ish blue, and then I'm going to add in water. All right, so kind of a lightish blue, but when we get it on here, we're going to add a little bit more water so it will get even more light, I should say. Okay, so I've got my stencil down. I don't have anything on this. I've just got it down here. Belinda, what are you referring to? Cardstock or paints or brushes or all three? Because I could give you recommendations for all three. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just follow the stencil. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I just want to get the idea in place. So I don't have to worry about trying to freehand, okay? So you see how I have kind of a loose here, meaning the brushes. Okay, so these brushes, I love them. They are by a company named Transon, and I got them on Amazon. They are a mix of synthetic and natural. I think it's goat hair. And what I like about them is that they hold water, a lot of water. So synthetic brushes will hold less water, and you'll always be going into your color or your water, and you won't get like nice blends like this because you're always going to be going into water or color or something like this. This holds a lot. And you can feel it, like when you get it full of water, you can see that it is just loaded with water. It always wants to have like just a little bit of a drip on the end. I mean, it is full, okay? And you can feel it in your hand. So I would always recommend getting something that is either all natural hair or natural and synthetic. These are very reasonably priced, and I really have enjoyed using them. All right, so do you see what I did here? I just came back in with water, and I started blending out this line while it was still wet. And then you see how nice and soft that looks? Isn't that just beautiful? I mean, this is just really cool. Okay, so now I can take another side of this and pop it down. Let's see, what do I want to do? Let's say I'm just going to do this little section here. So again, I'm going to go back into my blue that I have prepared. All right, and pull that away. And so I'm just wiping this off as I go, so that way when I put it down, I don't get it on my paper on accident. And then again, clean brush with water on it, and I'm just blending out that line. Okay, and then another trick is that if you feel like you've got too much, come at it from the white side, from the clear side, and then push your brush into it. So this is a clean brush that I pushed into it, and then I'm wiping it off on my towel. And that is going to lift some of the color. So if you feel like you've got too much in there, that's definitely going to help get that off. So Belinda, in regards to the brushes, I fall under the school of thinking that you shouldn't skimp on your supplies. So yes, you could get cheaper brushes, you could get all synthetic brushes, but your results aren't going to be as good. So if you're trying to do something that looks like this, you might not have as good a result. So the other good thing about having good supplies is that usually they last longer and you probably need less of them. So like this watercolor set from Altenew, it's a mid-grade set. And so I find that I don't have to use a lot of pigment from the pans to get what I'm looking for color-wise. And so they will last a long time. Same thing with their artist grade ones. They're going to last me a long time. So I don't mind paying a little bit extra for them. All right, so I'm not going to make it to the end here. So I'm just going to kind of rotate this a little bit. And I'll come back up here with this little bit there. All right. So I would rather spend a little bit more on my supplies and know that they're quality supplies and I'm going to get good results from them. All right. The paper that I'm using right now is just Strathmore 140 pound watercolor paper. It is not the best paper out there. However, it does really well for these kinds of techniques and it's going on a card. So I figure I'm not going to go overboard with the paper. If I feel like I'm getting good results from this, then I'm going to keep using it. So yeah, that's maybe not in keeping with my idea of good supplies, but the paper's not bad. And like I said, I'm trying to keep in mind what I'm using this for. It's for a card. So, you know, if I was trying to do something that I was going to frame or keep forever, I might pick something different paper-wise. All right. Isn't that really cool? So, I mean, look at that really cool look that you can get from this kind of cartoony stencil, right? So we used this previously, and when you do it with the hard lines, of course, it looks more cartoony. But now that I've done it with some watercoloring, I mean, they look like real puffy clouds, right? Oh my goodness, I really, really, really love this technique. So I got a little bit of, there we go. So I just flooded that area with water so I could kind of scrub that out. I had some extra little strays there. All right, so I think that looks pretty good. Yeah, exactly, Belinda. So skimping, yes, can result in you also feeling like, oh, this isn't for me because I'm not getting good results. So these are not top of the line, but they are not El Cheapo either. So I feel like going middle of the road at minimum is a really good way to decide if you like that particular medium and that, you know, you're going to add that to your arsenal of craft techniques and things like that. So yeah, you know, I'm always out for a good deal too, but I'm not going to buy something just because it's cheap and, you know, whatever. But these were a really great price. I like that they're both synthetic and natural hair. They hold the water really well. I think they're really great for a midline crafter. Okay. So I've got my clouds in place. I'm not going to go too much farther with that. Now, let me show you the original one that I did. So this was the original one, and these were actually I softened up the line a whole lot more on these guys. So this is more like almost a wispy cloud. I really like the way this looks with the more harsh line on here. I think it's more dramatic, isn't it? I think it's really, really pretty. So, all right, guys. Thanks for everyone who's joining. If you're popping in, you're just popping in. Don't forget to tell me that you're here and where you're from. And everyone always likes to share the weather. So Nancy is in San Francisco and the air is much better. That is so good to hear, Nancy. I am glad to hear about it. Okay, so we're going to move into the hills here, which I totally freehanded because it's just 2 humps. All right, so I'm going to pop in. I'm going to show you the colors that I'm going to use here. I'm going to mix some of these greens. I'm going to leave this blue here because I might use it yet. So I use this super bright green, which is crazy bright. And then I'm going to go into the darker green. I'm going to mix these 2 together as well. So I felt like this green was too muted and too dark. So I wanted to brighten it up a little bit, but this one was too bright. So adding them together worked really, really well. Yeah, Belinda, we had a lot of rain here a couple of weeks ago in Nebraska, and we definitely needed it too. We had just put down some new grass, and it's finally coming in. Yay! So, and yeah, I'm sure in Texas. Oh, did you get any of the, was it from the hurricane, the rain that you got? So now I've got that green on my brush. All right, and I'm gonna just start, I'm gonna go for it. Everyone knows how to make a hill. We did these when we were kids, right? So just come down like so. All right. And then I'm gonna fill this guy in. Now, if you have a stencil that does hills and things like that, you could do the same technique that we just did with the clouds. But like I said, freehanding this is pretty easy. So you see how I've gone on, this is dry cardstock. I did not pre-wet this, so I'm doing wet on dry. And you see how it gets me that nice hard line? That's exactly what I want, because I want to be able to put in that second hump for my other hill. And I want to make sure that this line stays pretty hard down here. Now, actually, I might come back in and adjust that, and I'll show you how we do it. Okay, so the second one is going to come kind of like so. Just like that. All right, so I'm just adding a little bit of water to this now, and we will bring that down. All right, so say I want this guy to come out further. You see how this is all wet now? So this is actually going to just fade out. So we can erase, we're basically erasing the line. Look, it's erased. So if I want this to come out more like that, I'm just gonna kind of put it in place, but we have to wait for this to dry a little bit before I can finish that, because otherwise it's just gonna keep melting. But now I have it in place, and we've got an intention for that to come down at more of an angle like that. Now, did you see what I did there? I've got, this is dry over here. You can start adding in some texture. Same thing up here. This dries pretty quick, so I needed to just get that a little bit more wet. All right, so let's let that dry for a minute or two. Hey, Paula, so good to see you. You're funny, Belinda. Yeah, I know, right? It's a cool front, never a cold front. Okay, so let's let this sit for a little bit. We're going to go and do the kitten, and then we'll come back and put in the detail on this because we need to let this dry just a little bit. Oh, actually, it's probably dry enough. Let's see if I can get this in here. Yeah. All right, so I want to get this line in here. So you can tell the difference between the two humps of land. There. So now we've kind of set the scene. All right. And I think I'm seeing it on a couple different screens, and this is really kind of more of a light lime green versus anything like super vibrant. So if it looks super vibrant on your screen, imagine it in just a slightly different tone. Okay. All right, so I'm going to set that aside. And where did we put our little kitty cat? Here it is. No, that's not it. Oh, there it is. Okay, so we're back to little ghost kitty. You can barely see her little lines on there. The cool thing about this, though, is that they are going to end up showing up. All right. Oh, and you know what? One of the most important colors I did not get here was the gray, but that's okay. We really don't need a lot, so I'm really going to water this down. Okay. Now I'm going into some small brushes here. I have a number 1 and a number 0. We might use the 0. Definitely be using the 1. So I'm going to start off with the number 1 brush. And the thing about no line watercoloring is that the line does end up showing up because as soon as it gets wet, it does kind of pop and grab some of the color. All right, so pardon my head as I get a little closer here. Actually, you know what? This brush is too big. I'm going for the number 0. So, because to get around these little ears, you need a small brush. All right, so I'm just going around her outline. And what's going to happen is the ink that's already there is going to grab the watercolor. And you're going to start seeing that line a little bit more. So this is basically how we make a little white kitty. Because she needs to have some depth and dimension. She can't just be a little ghost kitty. Well, she could be if it was Halloween, right? All right. I think I could have stamped her just a little bit better. But that's okay. You guys are getting the gist of it, I'm sure. Okay. And let's grab her tail. So using these teeny tiny brushes is what's really going to help you be successful here. You can't come at this with a huge brush. All right. And you do have to come back and like outline her little toes. You see how close I'm choking that up? I'm holding it almost like a pencil. Well, I am holding it like a pencil. All right, so I haven't done her little horn yet, but we will get there. Okay, so now I'm going to come back in and just do some clean water and start letting this blend out, because right now she's just outlined. So this is, you can move to a larger brush at this point too. So what I was going to say is that this is when you will notice if your paper is good and if your watercolors are good or not, because I went all the way around this and it's basically dry because it is super, I really didn't do a whole lot, right? So if it is already dry and you're not able to come back in and blend these colors, then either your paper has really held on to the ink or the watercolor itself just doesn't like to reactivate and blend. And sometimes colors are like that. They don't like to, some colors don't like to reactivate. But see how I'm able to kind of come back in here and scrub a little bit? I'm really just making these little scrubbing motions. I'm gonna pull you in super close so you can really, really see what I'm doing, because I know this little kitty, she's super light. Wow, okay. Super up close. Okay, so see how I'm just kind of scrubbing this? Got to make sure that I have water on here, but not too much. So I wipe it off so it's just damp. And then I'm just kind of doing this little scrubbing motion very, very gently to get that line to loosen up. Okay, so I have a defined line, but it's gray, obviously. And it blends really, really nice into, look at here. So again, I'm just reactivating that line that I set up earlier and then getting that to blend into the body. See, isn't she so cute? All right, so Nancy thinks that she can do the cloud and the hills, which is awesome. I'd love to see you give that a try. It would be fantastic. All right, and seriously, it's that simple. Okay, so now we need to come back in and do her little horn. What did I do? Oh, I just did gray. I just did her like all completely gray. So let me grab my super small brush here. This I need. There we go. She almost looks like she just has a birthday hat on instead of a little horn. I feel like this line needs to be just a little darker. All right, so have you guys tackled no line watercoloring before? And if you have you had success with it? All right, so I'm going to pop in some pink for her ears. Ooh, that's bright. Maybe not that pink. Oh, you know what? I think I would rather use more of a corally color. So we'll do this corally color, which is also super bright. No to no line watercolor, says Sue. Yeah, it's something that you've got to practice. Take your time. Use smaller brushes than you think, especially if you're doing card design type things. You'd really be surprised at how small your brush needs to be to have success with this kind of thing. Right, so she came with these little stripes on her tail, so I will make them a little bit more pronounced. Yeah, so now you have a little tip there, Paula, in how to do the clouds with the stencil, because that will certainly up your success rate. I don't think I like that. There we go. All right, so there's our cute, teeny, tiny little kitty. All right, so I'm going to keep us zoomed in here, and let me bring in our landscape, because I really wanted to show you guys how to do the detail on this. So Kitten, we set her aside to do some more drying. Now this is still just a hair damp, but it will be just fine. So I think the clouds are good. I was considering maybe bringing in one more lower here, but I think I'm just going to leave it just the way it is. I think it looks spectacular that way. So I want to add some detail to my hillside, because it's not just going to be this plain flat kind of thing. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab a little bit of this brown color that I have here, and I'm going to mix it in with the green. So let's see. All right, so I kind of have like this brownish green, and I'm going to hit this side of the hill. All right, so did I destroy my line? Nope, I'm going to come back in with a little bit of wet, just plain water, clean water, and work that in. So now it's not just going to be green, it's going to have a little bit of brown to it. Hey, it's dirt, right? So now I've got a little bit more detail there. All right. Okay, I'm going to back off just a hair. Oops, no, back off. There we go. Okay. So now I want to get in these little teeny tiny grasses, and these are super, super fun. Okay, so going back to the 0 brush, see how tiny that is? Super, super detail brush. Okay. And I'm going to do these little strokes that are going to make little grassy looking things. All right, so let's get some water over here. Put in some more of the darker green. Okay, now these do not need to be perfect. They do not need to be neat, because they're going to be so small. So just a little stroke or two. I'm trying to keep them as thin as I possibly can. See that? Okay, now I am really going to go in. All right, so you can see how tiny that is? Okay, so again, let's see if I can do this. So I've got my green here, and I'm just running my brush through it like this. So I've got it all nice and loaded up. And then wherever I want to put these, you see how choked up I am? I'm using this just like I would a pencil. Little strokes. Right, so right now the world is upside down because I'm left-handed, so I have to do it this way. And it's okay that I got this kind of a little bit of a blob here, because it's still going to look really great. if they all start to look the same, you can add a little fourth or a fifth just to make a different look, because you don't want these all to be like perfection. Okay, so that's that side for the most part. Load up my brush again, and then I've got a whole hillside over here to do. All right, so this is crazy, guys, right? But you could totally do this. Get yourself a nice small brush and practice doing this on some watercolor card, and before you know it, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I can make little detail grass and I didn't even know I could do that. If I don't want them to be so clumpy together, you could always do just like a little 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that. So now my whole little hillside is covered with detail grass. So let's pull that back out and show you what that looks like. There. All right, now here's the bonus. If you want to make these guys, well, this is bonus number 1. If you want to make some of these little flowers, so these are some of the pinks that I had out before that I was doing with the little ears for the kitty. Let's get some of this re-wet here. I'm just going to go dot, 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 and make some little red flowers, pink flowers. All right, and then maybe I want to do some yellow ones too. The yellow ones are harder to do on the grass because they just want to kind of blend in a little bit. All right. I do too, Sue. I cut with my right hand because left-handed scissors don't work. So there. Now I've got a little hillside with some grasses and some little flowers. Okay. Kitten is dry. I think I'm done with the watercolor. So let's finish this up, shall we? See, this goes fast when I just have to do watercoloring. And I say just because I'm so used to doing stuff like that versus trying to create some crazy interactive something or another with you guys. This is very in my wheelhouse. Whew, I needed one of those days. Let me grab my mini blossom. Okay, so, but I will tell you, next week for our last week with Caticorn, we are going to do a light up card. Definitely a light up card. Maybe something else if I can figure out how to do it, but definitely a light up card because those are fun and easy to do. I thought we would do a galaxy background and I would show you how to use these cool light packs from a friend of mine, and you'll really enjoy it, I think. Okay. So I did such a good job with Miss Kitty here that I don't want to cut her up. So if I really wanted to, I could have put the cat straight onto the card and made it a 1-layer card and just had the whole thing be painted, but I chose to do them separately in case I messed up on the background, right? So you always have that option. You can do them together or you can do them separately. Right, but there she is. So I'm going to show you how now I'm going to add her to the card base and really make her look like she belongs here, because we are going to do just a hair more watercoloring with this. Okay, so glue. All right. And I will tell you, no line watercoloring, just like anything else, it is practice. Practice, practice. All right, so Miss Kitty. There she goes. All right, so she's kind of floaty right now. Let me pull you back in and you can see. Okay, so I'm gonna take my number 0 brush again and some of that green that we've been using. And I'm going to add some grass underneath her because she needs it. So not only does she need a little shadow, she also needs some grass poking up in front of her because she's sitting in the grass, right? She's not like floating on top of it. So the first thing I'm going to do, I took this, this pile of green here that I've been working from. All right, and I'm just going to do a little squiggle. And it's going to kind of come up underneath her a little bit. It's going to start a little larger and then get smaller. All right, so there, now she has a shadow. All right, and then we need to add some grass. Oh, I thought you were talking about the card, Becca, but you know, yeah, the light up is going to be super fun. Okay, so again, I'm going to add in some more of these little wispy grasses, and they're going to go up over the kitty so that it really looks like she's sitting here. Otherwise, she's floating in the grass and we don't want that. And we could put some flowers on there if we wanted to, but I think I'm just going to leave it as is. So see, now she's sitting in the grass. Okie doke. And there you go. So now this card is basically done. We need to add a sentiment though. Well, I mean, we don't have to. You could just leave it like this if you were afraid to stamp on it, like I'm terrified right now to stamp on this. But I also know that we can put a sentiment strip over it if we have to. Right? Okay, so I pulled out sentiment strips too. I didn't want to go with anything punny because I just thought it was too cute. And then I did the just for you. But I think I'll just do like hello there this time. And we need our Misty for this, because you only get one chance. One chance. All right, guys. So as we are finishing up here, and I will tell you, like I said, it's been a heck of a month, and I am working on finishing up the PDF for last month's. But I realized today, literally, as I was working on it, that I was working too hard and adding all the links. There was a much easier way for me to do it. So that means that doing these PDFs in the future will be much simpler. So I'm really happy about that. So by next week, it will be ready. And actually, I'll probably have this one ready as well. So we'll do a 2 for next week along with the survey. So, oh, Connie. Well, I'm glad you're here now, but you get to see the cute little kitty we made today. All right, so I'm just going to line this up, and I think that's a good place for it. And I'm going to put down my piece of plastic. This thing has been my best friend lately. Trying to make sure that I have everything lined up. Okay. This one is always at hand, my obsidian black. All right, so we're going to make sure that that looks good on there. The hello needs to come down. So sometimes I can use the little grid here, and sometimes your eye just doesn't quite get it right. That's probably too much. We'll find out in a second. No, that was just right. All right, especially when you're working down into the corner like that, it's really helpful to use something like this to make sure that you're getting in there. Okay. All right, hold your breath, guys. Here we go. All right, so I'm just going to hold this down here for a little second. Let that ink really seep in so I don't have to stamp it twice. Because that's what killed me on the sample, is I stamped it twice and I wasn't realigned properly and it got off. It was a mess. Yes. Yay! All right, so if that had messed up, we would have been going for the sentiment strip for sure. So now I can show you both. So with sentiment strip or without. I personally like it better without. The sentiment strip just kind of draws your eye more than I really wanted it to. So there you go. So yet another idea for your Caticorn stamp set. Now here's the thing about what we've done with all of our projects so far is that it doesn't have to be the Caticorn. If you like just the plain kitty cats, you could do it with just the plain kitty cats that My Favorite Things has. If you prefer dogs, of course, you could be doing these cards with dogs. So you don't have to be limited to cats. There's nothing really cat specific about any of the designs that we've done. So I think that having that versatility. So now, I mean, we're not just doing cards with this stamp set. It's giving you a whole bunch of ideas for other stamp sets that are like this with a character or group of characters that are about this size that you can create with. So now you know how to make beautiful cloud backgrounds. We did that with our stencil. So Connie, this is a total trick that you're going to want to go back and watch. Like maybe right away even, is how we created these clouds with the stencil and watercolor. I mean, this is a real money trick. I really liked it. So that, and we freehanded the hills. We went back to grade school, right? Everybody learned how to freehand hills with temper paint in grade school. And we did some line watercoloring. So yeah, glad you guys enjoyed it. So next week, like I said, is our last week with Caticorn. We will have a PDF for that. We will have the PDF for last month's. And we'll be doing some fun light up cards next week. So, or a light up card at least next week. Maybe another card if I can figure out how to do it. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed today. Thank you for hanging out with me and for sending me your energy because I really needed it today. I'm so glad that we had some time to craft and connect with each other. So I will be back next week and we will be at the end of September. So thank you for joining me. Don't forget, links for anything that you might need are down below. I appreciate you supporting my craft education channel by using my affiliate links. So hugs to all of you, and I hope you all have a crafty weekend. So I'll see you next week. Happy crafting.